Hello, I am Tathan Talks, and this is TRCS, one of the TRCS mini characters competed in the main show. Now, unlike all my other videos, I'm not going to go down my spiel, because at this point, you should all know what the deal is with these videos. However, I am going to say that I am currently working on going back and adding episode 16 to all of my BFLEIR what ifs. So, with that out of the way, let us begin. So, here is the cast we have. We have, of course, the original contestants, but now we have 8 new TRCS mini contestants. So, this should be rather interesting. Now, I'm going to go through all of episode 1 right here. So, I do believe, I should say, I'm sorry for going back, but I should say, for the character personalities, I will be going off of what we saw in TRCS Mini. And if there is not enough screen time for them, I will simply be going off of the character descriptions that were given in the recommendation form. I did ask Nathan to give me access to this form, so if, say, iBlossomy or Wow Button, they were eliminated fairly early, didn't really get a chance to do too much, I do know their personalities. So Wow Button and iBlossomy, they were both described to be pretty chill. So, yes, keep that in mind for character personalities. Anyways, I do believe that Wow Button would be friends with Lava Bean and Spirit. Just kind of seems to fit the vibe that they have going on. So this would mean Wow Button would be included in the first scene of the episode. And instead of just guys standing, I do believe Deadweight would be there too, and they would be implied to be best friends because they do practically the same thing. They both do not move in the slightest. They both do nothing. They're both practically not alive. So I do believe Lava Bean would be like, guy standing is so awesome, and then maybe Wow Button can't talk, but he would say wow, and it would kind of be like, it's a kind of, it's the situation where, because you know how, because Spirit can be understood even though he says huzzah, it would be the same thing with Wow Button pretty much. So I do believe Lava Bean would be like, no, because, so Wow Button would be like, oh no, I think Deadweight is way cooler. So they gotta have a little fight, but they get over it. And this scene stays the same, the scene between Voiceover Fries, Scribbler27, and Skull Emoji. So that would stay the same. However, now, instead of only Super Monkey coming in to stop Chicken Sandwich, I do believe Hammer of Justice would be there as well. Oh yes, apologies for any background noise. I do have my, well, not my dog, I am watching Nathan's dog at the moment. So if you hear anything in the back, apologies, it is her. But yes, I do believe that Super Monkey and Hammer of Justice would be pretty good friends. I do think so. They would probably get along. And I should say this, Hammer of Justice is an interesting character to have in the show because at the time of episode 1's release, Hammer of Justice shouldn't exist. There's no possible way that they should exist. It doesn't make any sense. So we're just going to pretend that the show came out when they existed. So, yeah. Because, the Delta Rim chapter was not out. Anyways, Hammer of Justice would be smart enough to realize that Evil Pudding isn't actually evil. He would realize, oh, wait, that's not what he meant. He's like the opposite of Pudding from Cobb, so he's the nice guy. So that would mean, that would cause Super Monkey and Evil Pudding not to be on bad terms, because Hammer of Justice would catch it. Here's a new scene that I added in. Because I'm trying to give everybody screen time. We need the introductions. Dark Purple Bowtie would ask Firebelt to go burn dice because she's bored. And Firebelt would do it since he's kind of bored as well, and he doesn't really care all too much. In the show, he was kind of just doing the challenges. He didn't seem to care about them too much, so he was like, yes, sure, I suppose I will. All right. And, yes, this would, I do believe I miss, Yes, I missed a scene. Apologies, I meant to put a scene highlighting Battle for Donut Donut, Gamer David, and Jawline, as that scene would all play out the same. Anyways, Oscar Ball now shows up, and since we have 20 characters and one host, I do think it would now be 4 teams of 5, just like BFLEIR. I feel like it would make sense for Nathan to do that again. Now, so wooden number blocks would probably start off the team picking by picking iBlossomy, and the reason that it's those two is because they didn't get any introduction scenes. So I figured starting them off with the team picking would make the most sense to kind of show their character a little bit. Voiceover Fries would pick, Scrublo27 and Gamer David, just like the original. And, Jawline, seeing this, would panic and pick Lava Bean and Spirit, but also now Wow Button, because Wow Button would also be next to them. Super Monkey and Hammer of Justice would have noticed what happened to Dice, when he got burnt. So they decide to put him on their team to kind of watch over him. And then, Voice Over Fries would pick Battle for Donut Donut still. I don't think he would pick anyone else. And Firebelt would join would join iBlossomy's team because why not? No particular reason, just, again, he doesn't care about anything all too much. And Dark Purple Bowtie would follow along. Hammer of Justice would invite Evil Pudding to his team as an apology for the mix-up earlier. I think this could be very interesting, having Evil Pudding with Super Monkey while they're not kind of like on bad terms. I mean, yes, because in the show, yes, they are on bad terms, so this could be rather interesting. And even though Skull Emoji isn't as innocent as he thought, Super Monkey would bring him onto the team due to being the overall best option. And then, Lava Bean would sneak Guy Standing onto her team. And Voiceover Fries would much rather have Dead Weight instead of Chicken Sandwich, because who would ever want Chicken Sandwich? Anyway, so here are the teams, and some of them have unique names. So we have BFB Team Videos, because, Chicken Sandwich is on the team, so he would name the team. We have Aw Seriously, obviously Gamer David would name that team. Huzzah, Spurt would name the team. And there wasn't really a good name for the last team, so I just put Super Related, because I assumed the name would be super related, related to superheroes. So that's what I put. Yes. There is a very good name that I could have used. However, that is spoilers for episode 5 of TRCS. So I cannot use it. So I just put super related. Anyways. I should say, the challenge in episode 1 is to get a sandwich. So obviously, Super Monkey would do the challenge very quickly, like he always does. And, I guess I can keep it on this one. I should also say that due to the increased cast size, it is going to be double eliminations. So 2 teams will lose each episode, and 2 people, 1 people from each team will be going. So who would the second team be that would get their sandwich? I think if you watched the episode, you should probably know. It is Aw Seriously, because Scrublo27 would generate his team a sandwich. So that means BF Bean Team Videos and Huzzah are up for elimination, which is funny, because they are the 2 original teams, like the names at least. They're the 2 original teams in this episode. So, here we are on episode 2. Obviously, the cast is the same. No one's gotten out yet. Elimination hasn't started. Super Monkey isn't on Jawline's team, so he doesn't care if he talks to Gamer David. So he kind of talks to Gamer David for a bit. That would just be the opening scene. Nothing too crazy. And here's the elimination. Here we go. So I do believe that the person that would get the most likes, I think early on, looking at the cast here, I think it's pretty obvious that Jawline would win the prize, and he would get the funny comic. Yes. And the person out, well, you can probably see where this is going to. I do believe that Guy Standing would be eliminated. He was eliminated the first time he ever went up, and I really don't think this being episode 1 would change it. If anything, I feel like he would get more votes because there'd be a lot of new viewers who just wouldn't really get Guy Standing. Like, they wouldn't really they wouldn't really understand the point of guy standing. So they would vote for guy standing, and guy standing would be eliminated. Okay, now we got the BFB team videos elimination, and I'm sure everybody knows like exactly who is getting out. I mean, I'm sure it's extremely obvious. However, the prize winner I think is a little bit interesting because I think it would be wooden number blocks. Wooden number blocks would kind of be like the leader. You know, he would start off the team picking, so he would kind of be considered the leader of the team. And oh yes, as for his prize, he got a low taper fade. And so because like obviously since there are two teams up for elimination, like we cannot use the same prize. So I took the prizes in the original episode on the prize wheel and I randomized it, and it randomized to a low taper fade. So he now has a low taper fade, I guess. Yeah, not really anything crazy, but there you go. And obviously the one eliminated is chicken sandwich. Not even close. It is not close at all. Maybe like, I wouldn't even, no, not even with dark purple bow tie. I don't think it would even be that. Maybe like 20 apart. I feel like, yeah, maybe like 20 votes apart. I'm not too sure. But yeah, chicken sandwich would be eliminated. And here are the teams we've got now. So, the next challenge is to hide the body. Oh, right, I forgot. This is important to mention too. Jawline doesn't get kicked off his team because originally, when Guy Standing gets out, Lava Bean is very mad and blames Jawline. But since it's not Jawline's fault that his team lost, Lava Bean has no reason to kick him off the team, so Jawline stays on the team. Okay, now we can do the challenge, and as you can see over there, Super Monkey has been disintegrated by Oscar Ball because, of course, he still tries to stop the challenge, and it does not go well. Yes, Battle for Donut Donut and Deadweight would be left behind while the others go dig. So, just like the original episode, Battle for Donut Donut would be left behind, and instead of skull emoji, it's Deadweight. So this would cause them to become sort of friends. It's a bit hard to say with Deadweight, but Battle for a Donut Donut would consider them friends. Anyway, which is the next team that will win? That would be BFB Team Videos. Firebelt would probably burn the body. He's very good at burning things. Probably what would happen. And here we are at episode 3. You know, here's everyone here. And we can go straight to the elimination. So, super related. This one's interesting because for this one we have to consider the time change that I made. You know, I made, episode 1 start earlier in I think probably 20, whenever, sometime after the Deltarune Chapter 4 released. So because of this, I do believe that Hammer of Justice would win the prize, and he would get the apologies, I'm being a little bit distracted. It's okay. He would get he would get Thomas. Yes, sorry, apologies. A little out of it today, a little bit. He would get Thomas because their team was the first one to go up, so the prize wheel would land on Thomas. As for the person out, it would unfortunately be Dice. I don't see any way that Dice could outbeat any of these guys, so he's done for. It would be pretty close with Super Monkey. Super Monkey was a little bit, somewhat hated, a tiny bit early on. He was kind of, I did hear he was written to be voted out here, written to be the second boot, technically the third boot in this universe, but I still think Dice wouldn't have much going on, and also because he looks, different, he's less well, his style is different, so he'd kind of stand out. So Dice is eliminated. Now we have Team Huzzah, and I think, pretty obviously we know who wins here again. It is Jawline wins the prize. And interestingly, the prize wheel landed on Screb. So that means Screb will help out in today's challenge, which should be rather interesting. Out of all the prizes it could have landed on, it's the one prize that actually affects the challenge. So this should be cool. Anyway, as for the person out, I do think it would be a bit close, but I do believe that it would be Spurrit getting out. Spurrit, He definitely stands out. But it would be very, very close. It would be like a 1 vote difference. Because in the original, I guess not this episode, but Spurt and Lava Bean have tied in elimination votes before. But I do think Spurt would maybe have like 1 or 2 more. So Spurt is eliminated, which is unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. Okay. So now we get into the challenge. It is the the Oscar Ball challenge. And Super Related would absolutely destroy the other teams, because not only do they have Super Monkey and Thomas, the main front runners in the challenge, but they also have Hammer of Justice and Evil Pudding. And yeah, I guess Skull and Wedgie's there too. I mean, I guess he would probably do okay. But yeah, this team is like completely made for this challenge. They would absolutely destroy everybody. As for the second team, to be safe, it would be Huzzah. I feel like Scrub would be a surprisingly good goalie. I feel like he, because of his, squishy, kind of, melty body, I feel like he wouldn't really be able to feel any pain. So any balls that, he blocked, he'd just keep blocking balls forever. And he wouldn't fall down. Nothing would happen. I feel like that would be very, Nathan-like to put in the show. I feel like he would do something like that. Oh, and Battle for Donut Donut gets immunity from Super Related for no particular reason. They don't really they don't know any of these contestants, or they don't have any connections with them. So I made them pick Battle for Donut Donut just because they would probably think he's the chillest, I suppose. Yeah. And here we are in episode 4, and we can go straight to the elimination. Now, I won't even try to build this up. Pretty obviously, Voiceover Fries wins the prize. He gives the disadvantage to Super Monkey, and Deadweight is eliminated. A very, very obvious outcome here. It's not surprising anybody. So there we go. He's in the elimination place. Okay. Now this one could also be a bit pretty. This one's also, you can kind of see this one coming a little bit. What you might not see coming, though, is Firebelt winning the prize. I do feel like in the Oscar Ball game episode, he would have a rather big role. He would probably burn some of the balls. You'd probably get a lot of focus in the episode, which would cause him to win the prize. And the prize that it landed on was New York. I wasn't really sure what to do with that, so I just gave him a certificate that he now owns New York. So I don't know if that's ever going to come into play. Most likely not. But I guess it's something to keep in mind if I go back and continue this show. Or maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, pretty obviously the person out is Dark Purple Bowtie. Mean characters don't tend to do too well. Straight up mean characters don't tend to do too well. There's not really any redeeming qualities with Dark Purple Bowtie. She's just simply a menace, and I don't think the viewers would see her as a super entertaining menace, unlike Firebelt, because Firebelt could be a little mean, but I feel like he would have a bit more fans. Okay. Sorry, my throat, apologies. Yes, Dark Purple Bowtie is now out in the elimination area, and I do believe this is the last elimination of the video. But we will still do episode 4, and 2 teams will still lose. So here's what we got right here. And John Turwalt would carry this team because Evil Pudding is on the team, and Super Monkey can't really do anything to stop it, and I don't think Hammer of Justice would really care too much. So their team wins. And as for the other team that wins, it's kind of funny, this one. It would be BFB Team Videos, because this team would actually improve their stand. They would actually understand the challenge. They would actually be like, oh, we have to improve the stand. Because, seriously, they would just put Mist and, Doritos, and then Huzzah would just put a hot dog with a low taper fade, which just isn't really improving the stand. They didn't really understand the challenge. And that is it. That is it for the episode, or for the video, for the what if, because I can't do the next elimination, but looking at who's up, you can kind of assume, looking at who's up and looking at the episode it is, and if you know the votes in the real episode, you can kind of predict who's getting out. But I'm not going to specifically say that, like specifically say who gets out. You'll just have to wait until the next part. I should also mention, for any updates to any of my what ifs, at the end of the video, I will include a link to the next part. So, but that next part will not be public on YouTube. It will be an unlisted video that you can only access through the main what if video. So I'm not sure if I'm going to announce when I have added those or not, but just maybe go back. I'll definitely announce when I do them. But yes, when I do announce that my continuation of my what ifs are done, make sure to go back into those videos and skip to the end, and there will be a link for the next stuff. But anyways, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. And yes, see you guys for more what ifs. I'm working on, well, I'm still working on continuing the other ones, but I do have a couple new ones in store. So, goodbye. Thank you.